Kia ora, good morning. I'm having my coffee, so if I take a break, you know why, the usual. I've been watching a couple of YouTube videos, and it's something that I have kind of gone over, sort of briefly, while I was developing the science of the Ascension, because I was around people when I was locked up that were diagnosed with it. They, psychiatry and that, call it a mental illness. Anytime anyone doesn't understand anything, they either give it the label of paranormal or mental illness. But the thing is, they're kind of right and they're very wrong. And this is why I'm here, because I'm trying to explain it all to people to make life a little easier, to get people off medications and out of diagnoses that they really don't deserve. And it should be a wake-up call to the mental health industry, the quote-unquote medicine of psychiatry and psychology. This is a wake-up call that you need to sort your shit out and re-examine what it is when it comes to the human mind and its connection to God and the God consciousness. You're so narrow-minded, you're killing people. And that goes against any oath that any doctor with a medical degree signs up to. You're supposed to be there to preserve life, not take it. And it is to do with schizophrenia. I think I understand, because see, I'm one of these people, I need to understand human behaviour. I think from a very, very young age, I've never been able to understand why people do the things that they do. Like, why would you do that? Like this woman that we're dealing with, why? So I have to try and get into their heads and that to understand why, because I don't understand how we can call ourselves humane and yet be so inhumane. When we go on about nature and yet we're running around acting unnatural. We're claiming to be children of God and then killing children. So it's like we're living in a world where it's oxymoronic and it needs to be flipped. I said to this young man that I'm helping the other day, when you change your perspective, it changes your mind. Sometimes there's another way to look at things. It's healthier to find other ways to look at the situation you're dealing with rather than focus on the negative aspect of it. This stuff is important because an imbalanced mind creates paranormal activity, and poltergeist activity, for example, we know is connected to people who are suffering from mental health issues, and it's the majority of which are children, young children, kids in puberty or about to enter puberty. There's it's not always the case. Some of these kids have managed to keep the ability long into adulthood, but most of them will grow out of it by the time they, get out of puberty. And poltergeist activity is what happens when you're firing out negative energy and it turns kinetic, which is a superpower. It is a supernatural power. And these kids don't know how to harness it. And then, of course, they leave the properties and other sensitive people come in and they pick up on it. And then, it starts all over again, because like attracts like. So kids going through their empathic phase, when they go through their first ascension, are dealing with all these superpowers they have no idea how to control. And then, of course, they hear voices, and 9 times out of 10, they're not going to even understand that they're hearing the voices of the past or the future, because they're in a time slip. They can have full and complete conversations with people. They might even be able to see them, see the settings, be in a completely different place, and it's being diagnosed as schizophrenia when in actual fact they're time jumping. They're in a time slip, which is often called a haunting, because nobody understands what it is. It's a supernatural ability. It is something that is so high frequency, normal people can't experience it, because your brain has to run on such a high frequency that you slip between the veil of reality and existence. And instead of studying it and going, oh my God, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen, and then using them while they're in the moment to get information about the future and, who people are going to be in the future, or who we were in the past, and that, using them as the bridges between the past, present, and future, they try to medicate them to the point of assisted suicide. So instead of not using this opportunity to study it for the supernatural scientific miracle that it is, kill it. I'm just going to have a sip of my coffee. The other thing I've been looking at as well, the schizophrenia, because there seems to be 2 sides of schizophrenia or schizophrenic episodes that I've studied in the people who were diagnosed, and these YouTube videos in there. And there's the ones who are picking up on the past, present, and future. They become like radio transmitters. They tune into radio transmitters, and they pick up on signals of the past, present, and future, and the really powerful ones. And it seems to be the ones who work with computers or artists who experience the more visual, quote unquote, schizophrenic episodes. Whereas most people will hear the voices and have conversations with them, the people who visualize it are the ones who have stepped into the time slip, where they're able to pull like a haunting to them, in just very crude layman terms. I have to talk on every level. And then there seem to be the ones who are picking up on the voices of the past and present and having conversations with them, imaginary friends. I have always maintained that imaginary friends, children's imaginary friends, are 100% real. And that they're not ghosts, they're not aliens, they're not angels, they're not anything like that. They are in a full-blown time slip episode, where they are interacting with people from different times, because they're pure and innocent. And the God frequency is the highest, purest frequency there is. And you have to raise your bar pretty high in order to be able to access the God frequency. And these kids that have been diagnosed with ADHD, like that boy Jacob that I talk about, that can compose music, is a 100% pure soul, absolute purity in his highest form, who he's so high frequency, he doesn't even have to communicate in order for the world to understand him. People are starting to understand his frequency by raising themselves to it. And yet he's been treated like he's the outcast, when in actual fact, he's the angel. And angels come here to teach us. The people who make the biggest sacrifice in life, like with their physical and mental health, they're the ones that are sent here by God to teach us the biggest lessons. We're supposed to be learning from them, not silencing them and medicating them down. And you see, what I'm building is for kids like them. I don't know if I'd have the only way that I would have kids like Jacob at my facility, at my school, is if his dad was okay with coming with him, because I don't want to have to deal with legal implications if we don't handle a child as high as Jacob without having someone there, because, you know, a lot of them, when they get frustrated, we had a girl like that when I was locked up. Whenever she got frustrated, she'd lose her temper. Jordan's son, Harvey, does the same thing. I'm not saying Jacob's like that, but I don't want any harm coming onto any of my students. I don't want to, how do I put it? I don't want to go so far down that side of this, so far up that side of the spectrum, that I'm having to call in like police. And because, like, I'm just, this girl that we were locked up with, it but if Jacob, if he had, you know, because when they're unattended, I mean, sorry, God, that, finish your sentence, Debbie. When they're unattended, if they've got carers with them, then 100% they're more than welcome. I would love to have Jacob come and stay with us if his dad was cool with it, because I don't know if their parents are okay with, like, taking a few months off to come and, you know, let their kids run around and create symphonies for zombie apocalypse musicals. If they are, that's completely cool. Because I want to build a boarding school. It's one of the properties I want to build, and in that boarding school is where I would have like annexes for the kids that came that needed a parent or carer with them, and especially, see, like, even though I'm going to have nurses and a doctor and stuff like that on call on site, I always have like a medical room there with a nurse and all of that. There'll be someone there 24/7, and we'll have a doctor that can get called in on short notice and blah blah blah. But I don't want to be having to deal with, because you need special licenses and stuff. But if the parents are there, or and they're able to give them their medication and that, then that's fine. I don't want to have to deal with going down, having to, because then you're having to bring governments in, and I just don't want to have to deal with that stuff. Other than making them money and bringing them tourism and that, when they're having to butt their nose into prescriptions and that sort of thing, because I'm trying to get kids away from that sort of stuff. But if they've got their parents and guardians there, they can deal with all that sort of stuff. But for me personally, I'm trying to get the kids away from the medications, because they don't need them. They really don't. So, so then, you get these people who hear the voices, who are picking up on other people. And that if they're around people who have got their own, fighting their own demons in their head, and then they come home and they start hearing these voices in their head and they don't make any sense, you're having conversations or hearing voices in your head that make no sense to your life or your situation or anything like that, that's not schizophrenia, sweetheart. You're picking up on somebody you've been around within the last 48 hours. You're picking up on the voices in their head, and you're thinking you're hearing voices, but you're hearing the voices in their head, and you've become a radio transmitter. And this sort of stuff is really easy to shut down. And it doesn't require any medication at all. It requires getting away from the people and things that are no longer serving you. Because it's like a blip in your thought pattern. They become like a blip in your thought pattern, like a glitch in your binary code. And it sticks, and you can't move forward until you stretch it out. That's what I say what nebulas are for. You know, when nebulas pump it all out, it pushes evolution along, it smooths everything out, like smoothing out a carpet. Nebulas smooth out the frequency. They help remove the glitch, the blimp. And when you can get rid of those glitches, you get a purer frequency. So, you know, if you are a high functioning, creative, empathic person, and you're a writer or an artist or a programmer, and you find yourself with like writer's block, or you know, you know what it is you're trying to paint, but you can't get it out, or you know, you can't figure out that equation, you can't, like the code just isn't working. That's the blip. And then if you're hearing the voices, or you're having anxiety, or you know, things were going really well, and then all of a sudden you just hit this wall of like heaviness and like dread or anxiety or fear, and then you hear the voices and you're having the bad dreams and blah blah blah. It's not you, it's someone you're around. And you have to be the one to recognize who that person is, and either let them know what's going on, tell them about themselves, send them to my radio channel or my YouTube videos, and you know, help get them to sort themselves out, or remove yourself completely. Don't engage with them. You have to put yourself first. You've been put here to create things and build things within society that is going to change the world. It's people like you, and even kids like Jacob and that run at such a high frequency. Yous are the ones that are going to help us get off the planet and go and zoom down wormholes and stuff, because you'll be able to build the new world in a way that supports evolution by embracing tradition. You're the ones that still draw by hand and not using AI computers. You're the ones that still pick up the instruments and play the pianos and not use the computers. We need the kids like you. We need the people like you. We literally need you. You are the last hope of getting us into the new world, and not just on this planet, but you know, at the edge of the universe as well. And kids like Jacob, if I got him into my space program, he'd be able to help me figure out those keys that I keep being shown. I reckon he's got the skill that I need to help me with my space program with my fuelless shuttle. You know, on Close Encounters of the Third Kind, when they do the da na 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 na, going off key, da na 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 na. That's it. Da na 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 na. Na 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 na. Remember it does that? I need Jacob to be the one to figure out the da na 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 na. That's absolutely what I could use him for. or kids like him. So then the other thing I've been looking at is, which I've been finding absolutely fascinating, is people who have been diagnosed with, like, is it DDI? I can't remember what the DDI is, but it's like multiple personality disorder. I think that may be what they called it in the old days. They don't use the term manic depression anymore either, and that's what my ex was diagnosed with back in the day, but they don't call it that anymore. For the ones that are genuine, because apparently there's a lot of people faking that and Tourette's and all of that on TikTok and stuff for views, which just I'm like, but why? So I had to watch it to try and figure out. I mean, clearly attention. They never got attention as kids, so they become dramatic and theatrical to get attention and approval by society. But you know, for the ones where it's genuine, I question whether the voices that they've made up. By which I mean, and like I would love to sit and meet real ones in real life to watch them, because I'd be able to figure it out just by asking all their different personalities questions. Because I wonder, like, are we sure these people aren't real? Like, are we sure that we're not missing some kind of, like with ghost memories, with people who are diagnosed with dementia and they have the ghost memories? I'm 100% convinced they're time jumping. They've slipped through the veil. And the thing is with dementia, the ghost memory thing is because, from what I was told, there's a lack of protein E, and if you inject protein E into what they called the pineal slip, there's like people with dementia, there's like it's so thin, it's so fine, like it's mist, or it's so close to something else that they think it's a part of some other part of the brain, but it's not supposed to be there. That's the pineal slip, and the way they showed it to me was like a valley being blocked with boulders, and this protein E will push those boulders. It'll disintegrate the boulders and unblock this pineal slip, and then they'll start, they'll remember again, because it's all to do with the having people who suffer from dementia. They have no cholesterol supporting their brain. Most people who suffer from dementia had like low fat diets, from the tin can, eating out of tin cans, and all that era, and all of that sort of stuff. Tin foil and the fluoride in the toothpaste and all that, and cholesterol's bad for you, wink wink, kind of era. And of course it's destroyed the cholesterol around the brain, which protects the brain and controls things like memory and thought. And people who hear voices, and because, see, the thing is, the CIA figured all this stuff out, that it is very easy to get inside people's heads and control their thoughts. And they've used that to their advantage. But if you have a high fat, high protein diet and get your brain coated with cholesterol and get your cholesterol up to the 600s and that, your memory will be on fire and your supernatural abilities will ramp up like you wouldn't believe. You're supposed to be eating meat. You're supposed to be eating eggs and dairy. Just don't be a glutton and do it the right way. Have respect for the food you eat. Pay your respects and have respect for the food you eat, and just don't be a glutton. There's ways to do it without it causing any harm to anyone, just like how we used to back in the days. We need to go back to how we did it back in the day. And then we rely on our local butchers, where we know that, farmers care about their cows. There's good and bad in everyone. There's people that have animal shelters that treat their animals badly. Just because it comes with the name of charity or angel doesn't mean that it is. But for the majority of people who look after animals or who have farms and that, they care about their animals. And there's ways to do it where we can pull back on the consumption of meat, but where the animals are actually getting a decent life and getting the respect they deserve, so that when they do die, everybody that eats it knows that it lived a good life. And we just eat the animals who die of natural causes. Just let them live their lives until they die. Animals die of natural causes, like in the millions, and then what do they do with them? Most farmers, once they know that it's natural causes, they cut it up and eat it. So why can't we do that and sell it at the local butchers and that, and then we all know that at least the cow got a good life and it didn't suffer. It died happy in a field. And then, we can mix it out with things like chicken and vegetarian and, and then you're protecting your brain. Diet is so important to the health of your brain, which is why my ex and that tried to starve me, because they know that, the kind of diet that I have a paleo keto diet, so I'm high fat, high protein, carbs, all of it. I just don't have sugar, because sugar deteriorates cholesterol around your brain and your joints as well. And I've got a lot of children to protect. And I see the split personality thing, multiple personalities, DDI, I'm pretty sure it's called. I don't see, the thing is, it's not that I've got a bad memory, it's just I don't kind of remember the labels, because they mean nothing to me until I understand the diagnosis, because they're labeling them wrong. So I won't remember what they've called it, because to me, I'm going to eventually call it something else. Like, how they call kids with autism. They call them autistic, but I call them geniuses. They're high functioning creative geniuses. Kids with ADHD, they're bored. It is boredom. They're living lives that are making them bored. So the ones that come to me with that diagnosis, there's not going to be enough for them to do. They'll be able to try their hand at whatever they want, from cooking, pottery, editing movies, acting on stage, whatever it is they want to learn. There's going to be so much for them to do. Or they can come here and just focus on the thing that they've discovered they love more than anything in the world. And it might be a kid that comes here, to create music in the music department for a video game, but they end up finding their passion for cake decorating or something, and end up coming to work with us in our bakery with our bakers and, and so I want to build a dorm for the kids like that, so that, and I want it written into the contracts that we sign with the governments as well, that says that if we feel that it's unsafe for the children to go back, we will give them like scholarships to come and stay in the boarding school, and then they're safe and they can continue doing what they're doing, and they don't have to go back. But then also as well, for the kids that come here who end up having exceptional skills and talents that we just can't let go of, we're going to be able to take them to the next level with it. Then they can stay in the boarding house as well. So that's one building that I will need to build on the property. I'll also need to build like a hangar for, indoor film set, stages, and the camp as well for the kids. So I will need to build at least 3 buildings other than the haunted house and possibly the spiritual centre, but that's all going to depend on which property I end up buying where, because I'm thinking of the one in Moscow. That's the one I'm thinking of in my head, just as a template. Not saying that's what it is, because I genuinely don't know where I'm going now. But there were buildings on that property, on the one I was looking at, that it was obvious because you could see them in the photo, but they weren't mentioning them. So even if they were just like little innocuous, garages or sheds or whatever, and I know there was a 4-car garage there, these could be things that we turn into public toilets and, showers and that for our truck drivers who are passing by and stop for a feed and, want to have a quick shower and a nap in the car park and stuff. It needs to be designed in a way that everybody has access depending on what they need, while at the same time not allowing them to have access to anywhere the children are other than staff and my security guards. I'm going to need a lot of security around the perimeter, inside and out, 24 hours a day, without it being threatening, but where everybody knows it's for their own safety. Because if we're going to have people coming off the main highway and that to come and partake in our facilities and stuff, we don't know who these people are. So if they're going to be around our children and in the streets and in the shops and all of that, they're going to know that there's a security presence, and all of our children will wear tags, like with panic buttons on them, that they can press at any moment and someone's going to be right there. Like our security guards, they'll be able to look on their phone and hone in exactly where that child is the second they hit that panic button. The people in the stores and everything, those alarms will go off. Everyone will be on it. So that's where my veterans will come in, my George Callaghan Trust Veteran Program. That's where my veterans will come in. Especially Russia, because I know that the whole reason Vladimir Putin and Russia were going to war was to protect children. One of the reasons was to protect their supply of human trafficking. So I know that they would be the ones for the job to protect the children on our, the second you walk through our perimeter. I would need to, I think I'm going to need permission as well to put up I need to put up a fortress around it, because we can't just have people coming in and out. But see, the thing is as well, we need to be able to let the animals come and go. Because we want to invite the animals to, feel free to walk around, and which is why we need park rangers. So see, this is why I need an architect in that, but I've gone off, because all I keep thinking is, this is what my school's all about. My foundation. I don't know whether to call it the Beehive or the Oasis. The Oasis. Good morning, the Oasis. Booking reservations and stuff. I don't know. I don't know whether to call it the Beehive or the Oasis. Because the Beehive, if it's honeybees, it's boys and girls, and I don't want to leave males out of the equation of what I'm building. Just because I'm like a single mum, woman, empress, like entrepreneur kind of thing, who's like the queen bee in that, it doesn't mean that I'm not in full support of men, because I am. I'm currently in the middle of defending two male victims of domestic abuse here where I am right now. Just having a sip of my coffee. Plus I have my Men of Valor range. So, and I'm one of these people that believe that the laws need to be changed, where any man that's been accused of rape or sexual assault, who was found innocent, they need to persecute the one who accused them. Even though I'm a victim myself, I know firsthand from, friends of mine, the damage that those kind of things can do to a person's reputation and their psyche. And so real woman, a good woman, defends men, and a good man defends women. Like you have each other's backs. So I might be mama bear, but a mama bear doesn't discriminate between her female and male cubs. They just do cubs. So anyone that comes through my gates is going to be my cubs. But we'll all work together to protect the children. And we're going to have vulnerable children there. And we know that these Peters and that, they love themselves a vulnerable child, which is why I was saying I wouldn't have them there for their protection if they didn't have guardians and parents there with them to make sure that they were safe. Because God forbid one slip through the cracks. I mean, Jimmy Savile loved the vulnerable ones because it's harder for them to fight back. I never want to give anyone the opportunity to be alone with any children. We're going to have our surveillance. See, whoever I have as my protector, or whoever runs my protection, he's got to have like some sort of law enforcement or military background, because when it comes to surveillance, I want the best. Obviously, when it comes to bathrooms and bedrooms, everyone gets their privacy, but the kids will have their panic buttons anyway. Like, they'll never not have them on them. And then, people will come and check, and, there'll be, I want the best. I don't want any of these cameras that, only take every few seconds, or where they're black and white and grainy. I want the best surveillance cameras money can buy. Because I literally want parents to be able to come through those gates and just let go of the hands of their kids, and just let them go. And then all they have to do is look up on their app to see exactly where they are in the park. They can even do a wellness check, and the nearest security guard or shop owner that, gets the alert, yep, no, they're here, take video, take a photo, whatever, do you want to say hi to them, that sort of thing, and then the parents can just, I want my park rangers and my security guards and whoever's in charge of all of it and that to just be impeccable with their timekeeping and their vigilance and their, so because I want these kids to be able to just get up in the morning or get up at night and fall into the studio, or go into the, sit at the potter's wheel, or sit at their computer in the gaming studio, because we'll be running that 24 hours a day, because some artists in that just work better at night, so let them work at night if they want. So the kids can just come down, and create on their own time with their own routine, without any fears whatsoever. And then I can guarantee you, by the time they leave, they won't be hearing those voices anymore. They won't be bringing up different personalities to help protect them, to make them feel comfortable. Because, it can be, because there's two sides to it, same with the schizophrenia. There's ones that might do it because they're nervous, and so they put themselves on stage as little characters, so that it makes them feel more comfortable to communicate. Because I had to, I'm going to be honest, see, I practice a lot of voices for my characters because the actors that end up doing the voices for these characters, I need them to be pitch perfect because of the fact that a lot of the stuff that I create, that the second that people with high audio senses and visual senses and that are starting to become stimulated by what I've created, it helps them tune in the right voices and tune out the wrong voices. Everything's biorhythmically infused like the nebula to smooth out the glitches and blips. So everything has to be pitch perfect, including the voices of the characters, because we're putting them out over the radio and we're putting them in video games. And if you're putting your VR helmet on or your headset on, and the voices that we feed you are there to help heal you and calm you down and, bring you peace and balance in that. And that's what the CIA figured out. And if they can put it through your headphones and through the radio and through the VR helmets and that, they can change the way you think and put stuff in your head that isn't even yours, but make you think that it is. And then they have a reason to call you crazy and put you on medication and shut you down because you, my loves, are their worst nightmare. Because if you can figure out how to control your own mind, it means they no longer have control over what you think and how you react and what you do. And then you'll go off and help people like me put navigation shuttles into space and actually see what's out there for real. And they don't want that because they don't know how to exist on our frequency, so they're trying to stop us like crabs in a pot from climbing out the bucket, people. So I'm here to help you understand your mind, because I had to think now, when, with this whole multiple personality thing, I was thinking, man, is that me? Is that what I do? Like, am I doing this like to stop me from being nervous, to help me say what I need to say? Because I have to be honest with myself, and if I have a glitch, like, I need to figure this stuff out, right? So, and all scientists experiment on themselves. But then when I realised, well, no, Charles Dickinson, oh my God, Charles Dickens. It's because I'm hungry. When I get hungry, my brain goes, because see, cholesterol, when you're hungry, when you go hungry, the brain starts eating itself, because it gets hungry, and so then it goes all haywire. So food and diet is so important, which is why I need to move to a country where they don't block out the sun, where they don't poison the soil, where they don't genetically modify the food, where their cows are healthy, not full of antibiotics and stuff like that, because everything I create has to be frequency and pitch perfect, because it's all to heal the people that eat what we make and buy our services and, listen to us on the radio and that. It's all to heal those minds that need to learn how to tune out those voices in their head. And I hate to say it, and I've put the studies up on X and everything, marijuana helps protect the brain from mind control. Another reason why they want to make it, why they keep it illegal. They can't have you thinking for yourself, because they can't have you creating in peace. Because when a high-functioning creative genius writes a piece of music or does a piece of art or develops a piece of software or something that is created in peace, they end up moving the world. They change the world forever. These are the people that make their marks in history. And the people who control all of that don't want free thinkers controlling history, because they're the ones that will figure out how to get us off this planet. They're the ones that evolve us. And it's the art and culture movement, the arts and entertainment and culture movement The movers and shakers, they're the ones who get, you know, when you hear that piece of symphony that just pulls at your heart. Do you know how powerful that is to be able to have that kind of emotion on someone just by the notes that you write down on a piece of paper? Or when you look at a piece of art and it makes you cry? Or when you hear a poem or a song that moves you to tears? Someone having that kind of power over how you think and feel, especially if you become an inspiration to them, that is a power that money cannot buy. And it can't be controlled, and even AI cannot produce art anywhere near as good as an oil painting. AI is the glitch in the matrix. They're trying to like bore a hole in the brain to create a tunnel for the quick way of doing something using AI that is never, ever, ever, ever going to produce anything with the same level of compassion and empathy and peace and creativity that you'll get at a hand-painted oil painting of an artist who's been going through an ascension period. Like Lewis Wayne, one of the most underestimated, high-functioning, creative, empathic, ascending artist you'll ever see, who got accused of being schizophrenic and all sorts, who was a pure example of someone who was completely misdiagnosed. And this is what needs to change, because it's dangerous, because these people with these medical degrees and their lack of understanding of the supernatural world in correlation with the paranormal world are killing off our Mozarts and our Da Vinci's and our Michelangelos. But I can heal the Van Goghs and the Lewis Waynes, and I know what to do. But adults don't want to be told what to do because they think they know everything. And when I come along for the ones that don't, who aren't ready to work on themselves, they see me as a threat. And so I get accused of all sorts. Whereas the younger people are genuinely open to wanting to understand it, because I know how to explain it to them in a way that makes sense, because they're already down in the macabre and the underworld and the weird and the creepy and the doesn't make sense realms anyway, because that's their first ascension, is going through puberty, coming out of that cocoon, is a terrifying experience for them. And what they come out as on the other side when they come out of that cocoon molds and shapes who they become as adults, and the imprint that they leave on the world. So I'm their cocoon. I'll be their cocoon at my beehive, or my cocoon. Maybe I should call it my cocoon. We can't call it the cocoon. I'll just call it the cocoon for now. It's better than, I don't know what to call it. Beehive, oasis, the cocoon, I don't know. But it's all to do with, like, we're busy inside, but we're chill. And, you know, we're the place where you can come and just ground yourselves and tune all those voices out. We're going to show you how to do it, while all of us helping together to protect the children while they're coming out of their cocoons. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, so that was my little observations there. It's all concepts and theories I've been working on for a while. I need to understand these things, you see, because I'm going to have these kids coming to us, and we're more than likely going to be having kids claiming to have, paranormal experiences, and that there's bound to be stuff that happens, which we're going to be the perfect people to deal with it. And then, of course, any of my girls in that are, or boys or girls, any of my students that are at the haunted house while this is going on, I mean, what a perfect class for them to have, where they have to come and figure it out, be like little detectives and figure it out, and then know what product to use. Well, I need to get something to eat because the inside of my mouth is all starting to stick together because I've been up a few hours, but I haven't eaten anything, so I need to go and coat my brain with some fat. So lots of butter, high fat, high protein, get off sugar, keep away from aluminium like tinfoil and fluoride and that, because they kill the pineal gland, they calcify the pineal gland. You need to decalcify your pineal gland. When you calcify your pineal gland with high fat, high protein, no sugar, just natural sugars, or wait for my products to come out, because then you can have chocolate and ice cream and all of that that is sugarless. But it'll still taste sweet, so you'll still get your sweet kick having chocolates and that, but you don't have to worry about the calories in that, and it'll be better for you. So you need to get that cholesterol back into your body, and so like nuts, and like oily nuts and salty nuts. Keep yourself hydrated. Non-fluoridated water, non-fluoridated toothpaste. Get away from aluminium and avoid tin can food as much as possible. Limit your tin can food to like maybe 1 or 2 cans a week if you have a specific budget. Frozen foods would be better if you have the freezer space. Just buy what you need when you need it. Don't leave food sitting in cans, jars, and that you're completely fine. Even packets would be better than tin cans. But people who have been given these diagnoses of hearing voices and seeing things and all of that, when you protect your brain, get off things like the nicotines, and if it's full of all the chemicals and that, if you can get natural tobacco, that's fine. Otherwise, get away from the ones that are pumped with the chemicals. Weed is so much healthier for you. So if you live in a country where it's legal, or you can get a medical prescription for it, do it, because I'm telling you, these people know what they're talking about. They'll know exactly what to give you to help you with the paranoia or whatever you've been diagnosed with. But then, see, on my radio shows, we can then also explore why you're having the paranoia and why some weeds make you paranoid. Because there's always a reason for why your mind is reacting the way it is, and it is never ever what we're made to think it is. And that's where I come in. So I'm going to help you understand it all from a completely different way that moves you away from the worlds of psychiatry and psychology and straight into the world of the supernatural mind. So just stay tuned, because as soon as I get out of here and I get my radio station up and running, we're going to be producing a lot of incredible shows out there that are going to help a certain kind of person understand themselves or their children. If I get parents listening into the things that I'm saying, and it helps them understand their children, and because the thing is, I know that there are a lot of parents out there that desperately want to help their children, but they just don't know how, because they don't understand them. I'm the person for them. I can help those parents understand their child more and know what to do. And then these are the parents that we can say, well, why don't you bring them along to our foundation or our cocoon? Why don't you come along and come and check it out? And then if you want, you can sign them up and leave them here for a few weeks or a couple of months, or, and if they're ones like Jacob, the parents can come and stay with them, and then the parents can watch them create. And if they get to the point where they feel safe enough to be by themselves in the music room with their friends or their teachers or whatever, then the parent can go and have a massage or a beer in the cafe or a coffee, or go and have a sleep or a walk around the grounds, or you never know. You never know. If we can get to the point where students like Jacob are coming and are feeling free to be able to move around without their parent or guardian and that there, then I mean, then I know I've hit the nail on the head, because that's what I want to be for the high functioning people of this world. I want to be their oasis. I want to be their sanctuary. I want to be their sane place, and then invite the world, the community, the city, the local, whatever, the government, to like help come and be a part of it. It's like it's all of us coming together to support the children and the staff, all of them, because they're all going to be creating this magic together. It's everybody giving them the support they should have got them before but didn't, because people didn't understand them. But now we do, and this is us giving them their support. And let's see where it goes. Let's see what they create from it. So, with my stories and my books and my movies and my games and that, like, I'm going to hand them basically the fruit and they're going to turn it into a salad. I'm going to hand them the ingredients and they're going to turn it into something, and I can't wait to see where it goes. But I think I definitely want to co-host on a couple of these radio shows. I've said it before, I've put it out. So I'd like to, maybe think about someone that I can bounce the conversation off with. Someone who finds it fascinating, who would ask questions, because, you don't want dead air. And while we're waiting for people to, like, call in, if it's radio or, type in their questions for the live feed or whatever, we can keep the conversation going. So, yeah, I'm just putting it out there, because it's just, because I'm dealing with this neighbour at the moment, and he's under a mental health thing, and just listening to him talk and watching these videos over the last few weeks. I watched quite a few with the ones who were faking like Tourette's and having multiple personalities and all that sort of thing. Just watching them, fascination. The human mind absolutely fascinates me. I was born with a brain that had to understand why, figure out why things happen the way they do, why someone is the way they is. But for me personally, because, I'm all about the occult and the paranormal, and, I exist with one foot in both camps of light and dark. You absolutely have to be a master of the light and dark, because you have to go down into places that most people don't have the guts to go down into, when you're dealing with a lot of people who are dealing with the darker sides of mental health issues and that, like your psychopaths and your sociopaths and all of that. There's a lot of it out there. But I think that a lot of it could be avoided in the future if people know how to protect what goes in and out of their mind. And that's where I come in with my biorhythmic engineering and my studies into the occult sciences, or developing the occult science by studying the occult sciences. And part of the occult sciences is psychology. You have to understand the human mind in order to figure out where it's going wrong. And society has a lot to blame for some of the things that people experience. And then they're getting blamed for things that haven't even got anything to do with them. But that's just my opinion. Maybe should call but that's just my opinion. Breaking the Cycle's one show, but that's just my opinion. Be like Peter Griffin's what was it? Grinds my gears. That's what grinds my gears, or something. That really grinds my gears. Was that the name of a show? Anyway, I'm just putting it out there. If any of you have been diagnosed with any of that sort of stuff, there's another way to look at this that you might not have understood before. And if it brings you a little bit of peace of mind, and if we can help get this stigma that has been put on you, this sticker that's been forced on you, this label that you don't deserve to wear, and you know you don't. Some people are happy to have the diagnosis, some people aren't. For the ones that aren't, you're the ones that are on an ascending path. Because only people who are ascending feel the need to want to figure themselves out. I don't understand why I keep doing this all the time. I'm going to help you understand. I don't understand what happened. That's what he kept saying the other day, that poor boy. God, I had to give him a big hug. I said to him, you know Mama loves you. Open the door for Mama, I said, because I get myself stuck. Right, he goes. He came and opened the door, bless him. Yeah, so that's what he keeps saying. I don't understand. I just, like, he can't figure it out. He's trying to figure, he's going over and over and over. He can't understand why it happened, what happened. So then I helped him understand it. And then he was able to go to sleep. For people of a high functioning mind, especially people who have a lot of air and fire in their chart, they have a really, really hard time trying to understand things that go on around them, because they're either stuck in their head or stuck in the way that they react to what's been stuck in their head. But if you can flip it and get an air sign passionate or a fire sign creative, then it's like firing up a steam train, and then they go barreling down those tracks, and where that mind ends up taking them can just be like, they create the next art movement, they create the new Renaissance, like that sort of thing. So yeah, he's a water sign, but he's heavy air sign. You can tell because he gets stuck in his head a lot. He's got a lot of air in his chart, but he understands what's going on now, and it's made him stronger. And every day I just, keep checking on him, and we've got to bring him justice. We absolutely have to, because what's happened is an absolute injustice. He's been bullied, actively bullied, and he's a vulnerable person who's been bullied, and I can't have that. And it's spreading out across the neighbourhood as well. So, yeah, so because I observe, and when I observe, I think. And when I think, because like what I observe, I need to understand why. So, but my rising sign is Libra, so the part of me that helps me elevate and rise is Libra, balance and justice. My ascending sign is balance and justice. So my DLPFC, my dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, is a rising sign, is the ruler of balance and justice. Yeah, so yeah, it helps me evolve. If I was like a Taurus rising sign or something, I might be a little bit more stubborn and take a bit longer to cotton on to things. But thankfully, I was born in the perfect position to be given Libra as my rising sign. So anyway, all of this stuff does matter. Don't listen to astrology. Don't listen to astrology. The whole using your star sign and all that to predict what's going to happen during the week and stuff like that. Don't listen to it. It's not real. There's so many things you have to take into account in order to be able to predict someone's future using their star sign, that it's not worth it. What you need to concentrate on is astronomy and the placements of the constellations and planets, and that matters, because they're the movers and shakers of evolution. They help push everything along. So get in with them. Because when it comes to making predictions, it's all based on probables and possibles and the choices and decisions that every single person in the tale of your story makes in order to be able to, present a certain outcome. In order to make a stitch in time, the needle and thread have to be in the perfect position. And when you're, weaving the fabric of your timeline, it is all based on the choices and decisions you make. And astrology can't predict that. It's impossible, because it's until you specifically make the choice to do something or act a certain way or say a certain thing, the infinite amount of possibilities that can come off of that are you'd never stop counting the infinite amount of possibilities. And astrology, there is no way that astrology could ever predict with accuracy, pinpoint accuracy, a correct prediction for a Scorpio's week for every single Scorpio on the planet. It's impossible, so don't even bother. Astronomy is where it matters. Astronomy is celestial psychology, it's celestial theology, it's celestial physics. So get in with that. It'll help guide you a lot better. Just don't use it in conjunction with making predictions and star signs. Because it could be predicting this is for Scorpio, but it's actually talking about when there's a new moon or full moon in Scorpio. So it could be during Taurus season for someone who is ascending or descending, because the twin to Taurus is Scorpio, so you can't use zodiac signs for predictions like that. You're supposed to use the zodiac signs to read the room, not necessarily the person, if you know what I mean. When it comes to predictions and all of that, that's all I'm saying. Anyway, I'm rambling on there because I'm hungry. So I'm going to go and have myself another coffee and finish my breakfast. I've got my toast in. I like cold toast with butter. So that's what I'm going to do, get my breakfast in there, and I will speak to you later. Just some food for thought. You don't have to go getting upset. It's for people that are trying to figure themselves out. All I'm saying is there's other ways to look at things. There's many sides to a prism. Prism. There's many mirrors in a kaleidoscope, put it that way. So I'll speak to you later. Ka kite anō. Happy Friday.